Barely a cloud in the sky. Temperatures right at 70 degrees. A light wind out of the northeast, and we're at Lambeau Field. Cowboys and the Packers. Dallas won the toss, chose to receive. And booted through the back of the end zone. And out comes another rookie. What a start it has been for Rain Dakota Dak Prescott. 155 pass attempts without an interception. That's the longest streak by a rookie to start a career. He is 8 passes without an interception away from breaking Tom Brady's record of number of pass attempts to start a career. Ezekiel Elliott for a gain of close to 3. Elliott 546 rushing yards so far this year. 11 rushing touchdowns, most in the NFL. Well, when you're picking up nearly 5 yards per carry, you're living large.
Last 3 weeks, he's been awfully impressive. He started to see some of the backside cuts that he missed in the first couple of weeks. And this has been an offense that's been on a roll, rushing the football for 3 games.
Prescott throws, it's intercepted, but it was blown dead before it ever got started. It looks like someone jumped the line of scrimmage on the Packers side.
Offside. Defense number 52, unimpeded to the quarterback. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
There's Clay Matthews out here, number 52, and he comes early, but Dallas going into a hurry-up offense. They're at the line of scrimmage, an empty set with Dak Prescott. Seemed to be a little bit of confusion on their part, but they're able to get Clay Matthews with a 5-yard penalty.
Green Bay is the least penalized team in the NFL so far this year. So they fake it to Elliott. And a throw to a wide open Jason Witten, and that's a first down to the 45-yard line.
The Cowboys, they come out there in their big personnel, and they've got one receiver out wide, and they're going to look like it's going to be run, play action. Dak Prescott, you've got to honor that with him keeping the football. Last week against the New York Giants, the Packers didn't have to honor Eli Manning and his running ability, but Prescott has shown a good ability to throw the ball accurately coming out to his left as he did on that play.
Elliott for a second time running room. And the rookie out of Ohio State picks up 11, and that's another Dallas first down. The 171 yards allowed, that's total over the first 4 games by this Green Bay defense, and only the 1995 49ers stingier.
This defense, nobody's been able to run the football against them. Some teams have abandoned the run early. Other teams, the Minnesota Vikings, did not match up well against this Packers front.
Play fake to Elliott. He can catch it out of the backfield. And he has another first down. Inside the 30 to the 28.
You talk about Dak and his ability through 5 games not to throw an interception, and he shows great patience. He's trying to get the ball down the field to Bryce Butler, but Butler gets jammed up just enough, even though he comes loose at the end. He gets jammed up enough. Prescott doesn't like it. He comes right off of him to his outlet receiver, Elliott, underneath.
Elliott. And look, you can talk about the great stars on this Dallas team. The rookies, Elliott, Prescott, we know about Witten. No Des Bryant, hurt again today for Jason Garrett. His 6th full year as Cowboys head coach. 1 trip to the playoffs 2 years ago, and of course they lost that year when Des Bryant seemingly made a catch to set up a winning score, and it was overruled on replay. Gain of 4 on first down by Elliott. 2nd down and 6 at the Green Bay 24. In the hands of Beasley, their leading receiver, got a good block from Butler. And he's inside the 10. It's 1st and goal, Dallas. But Troy was just starting to say, You talk about Dallas and you talk about this offensive line.
Well, you got Bryce Butler, who does an excellent job blocking, and Blake Martinez, the linebacker, he's the only guy to try to come out and make a play on that ball. Once you make the good block with Butler, just nobody there to make a play on Beasley before he picks up a nice game.
Nickel even, score.
Now a shotgun, 1st and goal. Prescott a fake to Elliott. And he's inside the 5, down to the 3. Prescott already has 3 rushing touchdowns this season.
Well, you have to honor this. I talked about it earlier. Right here, he crashes, and Prescott is reading this on the read option. As soon as they collapse, and you see Tyron Smith, the left tackle, he comes up on Jake Ryan, who would be responsible for scraping off the edge and taking the quarterback. So a well-designed play by offensive coordinator Linehan, blocking the guy responsible for the quarterback, and Prescott reading the end of line.
Boy, look at this. Power set. And a timeout is called, or is it a penalty flag? There's a flag in the back of the end zone.
12 players on the field. Defense. Half the distance to the goal. Remains 2nd down.
Already 2 penalties on this opening drive. We mentioned Green Bay, the least penalized team in the league. Mike McCarthy, what a year he's done. 8 of his 10 teams have been in the playoffs. 7 have won 10 or more in a season. And off to the 3-1 start here, but it's 2nd and goal. And they're going to throw it. Touchdown, Beasley. Beasley got his 1st touchdown of the season a week ago against Cincinnati, and appears to have his 2nd of the year on this opening drive. And what a drive it was by Dallas.
Yeah, that drive was too easy for the Dallas Cowboys. They run Beasley in motion. He comes back, and the Packers are in man-to-man coverage. They just run him out in the flat, and just no chance for them to make a play on him in coverage. It was Micah Hyde who was on Beasley, but because he's having to navigate the underneath coverage linebackers, Beasley's able to get a step and a well-thrown ball by Prescott. But to come out, Tom, they average here on the opening drive. We talk about the matchup of the offensive line and how well they're going to run the ball against this Packers defense. Average just under 6 yards a carry on the opening drive of this game.
Yep, 4 rushes, 23 yards.
The ruling on the field of a touchdown is under review.
Of course, every scoring play and every change of possession is looked at.
It's a question of whether he has possession of the ball as it's crossing the plane. That's a touchdown to me, but here we are on the first possession, going back to what happened in that playoff game as to what this ruling's going to be.
Love the line by Prescott when he said, every time I look for Cole Beasley, that guy's open. Mike Pereira, let's check in with you back in Los Angeles. Are you seeing anything that we might be missing right now?
Well, you know what I'm seeing? This is the old process of going to the ground. Is he going directly to the ground, or was he on his feet? And if they deem that he's going to the ground, then when the ball hits and comes out, it's an incomplete pass. You know, they've been really consistent in staying with calls that are being made in the field. But I think there's a strong notion here, because of what they've said about going directly to the ground, that they might consider
on the field stands. Touchdown.
So the judiciary says touchdown, Cole Beasley. We thank Mike Pereira as always. He'll be joining us throughout the rest of the afternoon.
Well, Mike brings up a good point. I mean, it's all about the process of the catch, and do you make a move? And if it was all one process, then yeah, you got to control the ball through the catch to the ground. And they deemed that he had possession, and once it crosses the goal line, it then was a touchdown.
Good snap, good hold, good kick by Dan Bailey. The last 5 meetings between the Packers and the Cowboys. Packers have won them all. 4 of them played at Lambeau, 1 at AT&T Stadium. The last time and the only time the Cowboys won in Green Bay was the first year that Aaron Rodgers took over as starter in 2008.
Well, you think back to last week's win for the Green Bay Packers. They ran the ball a season high 44 times in that game for 230 yards. And Mike McCarthy, when we visited with him, as you see this first touchdown allowed on the opening drive for the Packers defense, but Mike McCarthy talked about being able to control the clock and control the ball and really beat Dallas at their game, which they did a year ago. Now the circumstances were obviously different for the Cowboys, but they can't be real happy on that Packers sidelines the way the Dallas offense went right through them on the opening drive.
I don't know if anything in this world you could deem perfect, but that was as close to a perfect drive as a team can have. Prescott 4 of 4, and as you mentioned, they average almost 6 yards per rushing attempt. This is Ty Montgomery. We could be saying his name a lot today. Slips a couple of tackles, still on his feet, and up to the 25-yard line, tripped up by Keith Smith. So here comes a 32-year-old Chico, California native. First round pick in 05, took over after backing up Brett Favre for 3 years in 08. Aaron Rodgers, and look, you talked to him point blank about those very numbers. This is a guy that over the last number of years, every year he's 63, 65, 68%, and among the lowest in a long time.
Well, he came into this year with a career completion percentage of 65%, and obviously those numbers are well off of that mark. A lot of reasons for that beyond just the way Aaron has thrown the football.
Lacey trying to play through an ankle injury, picks up maybe a yard. Tackled by Sean Lee, Cowboys leading tackler. I mean, take a look at this. This season, the yards are down. Look at the passing yards. They're down, the lowest in the Aaron Rodgers era. And many turn back the clock after the 6 of those start to last year, the Week 7 game in Denver, when Rodgers threw for a career low 77 yards. Ever since that game, every number and category is way down. Passing yards, touchdowns, yards per attempt, the wins are down. Lacey to the 29, it'll bring up 3rd down.
I think it was in that Denver game when teams started playing the Packers offense just a little bit differently. You know, they started to play 2 deep looks and against their wide receivers and force them to try to create some separation, allow them to run the football, and they weren't able to do that consistently enough without Jordy Nelson. And the belief was once Jordy comes back, they're going to be back to themselves offensively, and it just hasn't worked quite that way.
3rd down and 6, good protection. And now Aaron flushed out of the pocket. He's going to run it. He'll pick up a 1st down to the 38-yard line. There is a penalty flag in the secondary. It's going to go against Dallas.
Illegal contact. Defense number 42. It's a 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
A veteran, strong safety, good player. Really become a good player year in and year out as Barry Church.
You go back and look at that last play, and Aaron Rodgers trying to throw the ball to the corner route here, and that's the contact that was made. That's where Rodgers was going with the football, and once that timing got off, he was able to tuck it and run. But some of those things where receivers have not been able to create separation, have not been able to get open.
Timeout. Dallas, their first.
The Cowboys going to spend their first time out here in the opening half. 8:10 to go, and the Cowboys out to a 7-0 lead. Well, football all day today, and then rolling right into baseball tonight. Game 2, National League Championship Series from historic Wrigley Field in Chicago. The Dodgers battled back to tie last night before the Miguel Montero Grand Slam. That's over on FS1. Clayton Kershaw will get the ball tonight for the Dodgers against Kyle Hendricks. Hendricks had a spectacular regular season. Take it to Lacy. And offline on the throw to Jordy Nelson.
And you see the frustration there by Aaron Rodgers, and these are just some of those types of throws. As Jordy Nelson, he gets pretty good position there on Morris Claiborne, and yet Rodgers misses him, and that's a ball that we're used to just seeing in his sleep, that he would just stick right on his chest. And I think it's those kinds of throws that he's missed where people have just kind of wondered, what's going on with some of the accuracy issues.
Flag thrown. This will be against Claiborne. Got tangled up with Jordy Nelson, and Claiborne saying, what else am I supposed to do?
So you got that sun too, right in Jordy Nelson, but the hand on the helmet.
Hands to the face. Defense. 5-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Of course, Dallas traded up, you may remember, to choose Claiborne in 2012 with a 6th overall pick. He's had his ups and downs, but they feel like he's playing better than at any point in his still very young career.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, when you're the 6th overall pick, there's high expectations. He's playing his best football, and even Aaron Rodgers commented on how well he was playing for the Cowboys this year.
Give it to Lacy. Big running room for Eddie Lacy. Leapfrogs a defender, and he's inside the 30. Look at the big fella. He leaped right over Byron Jones.
You're going to see good movement along that offensive line, and then Eddie Lacy seeing the cutback lane, and then Justin Durant just simply overruns it. Excuse me. Damian Wilson overruns it, and Eddie Lacy showing that Ezekiel Elliott's not the only one who can hurdle.
This is something Aaron brought up earlier. They're going to give Lacy a break and put Montgomery in the backfield. They put it in the hands for the first time early on to Randall Cobb. Cobb coming off of his first monster game of this season. 9 catches, 108 yards in the win over the New York Giants.
Well, look, this offensive line for the Packers all week long, they've talked about how good the Cowboys offensive line is, arguably the best in football, but their line has done a good job as well. I think they've got something to prove, and that was a nice job up front and a big gain for this offense.
That's Montgomery. Jones slams him down very close to a first down. He might be just a hair short, which would bring up 3rd and a yard. Packers going to bring in an extra offensive lineman. They go up front with Bakhtiari, Taylor, Treader, a first-year starter, Lang and Balaga. Jason Spriggs, 78, has come on. The fullback, not sure he got there, Aaron Ripkowski. In fact, he didn't get there. All right, Troy Aikman, if it's short of a first down, it's 4th down and a yard. Is it in Mike McCarthy's nature to go early on?
Well, he's looking right now to see what it is. It looks to me like there's no decision to be made. He's going to go for it on 4th down. He just got jammed up right on the offensive line.
Dallas goes down the field on its opening drive, scores a touchdown. And on the first possession by Green Bay, down to the 20, it looked like Mike McCarthy would go for it. 4th down and a yard. He's elected to bring on Mason Crosby. And he'll put the Packers on the board with a 37-yard field goal try. Crosby has now made 40 straight at Lambeau from inside 40 yards.
It's sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency.
Go back and take a look at that 3rd down play, and you see how Spriggs here, he's back in the fullback position as Lane Taylor is as well, and he just gets blown up. That defensive front slants hard down inside. They get no movement along the offensive line and a missed opportunity, and I really am a bit surprised that McCarthy didn't elect to go for it on 4th down.
Put it through the back of the end zone. Wondering about Eddie Lacy today. Came in with an injured ankle. Big man looked good right there. But Ginger over on the sideline.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Bud Light. Beer with your team on it.
Eddie Lacy a second ago gave a thumbs up as if to say he's all right. But you wonder, it certainly appeared as though Mike McCarthy wanted to go on 4th down and a yard a moment ago. It was very late to send out the field goal unit. First down throw. And a reception made by Terrence Williams, a first down to the 35. Let's check in downstairs with Aaron.
A couple things going on the Packers sidelines. Eddie Lacy, after that big run, guys, and I'm about to get trampled, came off the field and started testing out that ankle. Now the trainers are surrounding him. And then, as you mentioned, it looked like Mike McCarthy was going to go for it on 4th and 1. Obviously, they didn't. He turned around, was very upset with somebody on the staff here. And as I mentioned about Eddie Lacy, guys, trainers surrounding him. They're trying to figure out that cleat on his left foot.
All right, Aaron, thank you. We'll never know until after this one's over if he wanted to go for it. Ezekiel Elliott bottled up at the line of scrimmage by big Mike Daniels.
Well, the way that Mike McCarthy was looking at his call sheet on 4th down, it sure looked to me like he had no reservations about going for it. That's what his decision was going to be. And I saw him snap and yell something at someone down there, and maybe it was because Eddie Lacy was on the sidelines and couldn't get him back into the game is why he then decided to go for the field goal and not go for it on 4th down.
Second down, Prescott, too tall for Witten. It'll bring up 3rd down, and let's check in for the first time today with Carissa Thompson.
Thanks, Tom. A crazy game in New Orleans. A ton of offense. Breeze and Newton combined for 7 touchdowns, but it ends on a game-winning 52-yard field goal by Saints rookie Will Lutz. Panthers drop to 1-5. Tom Troyer.
Man, what a tough year it's been for the defending NFC champion Carolina Panthers. Starting in week 1. And only 1 win.
Well, the Packers defensively have been able to get the Cowboys into 3rd and long. Dallas has been good on this down all year.
Well, they're the best in the NFL. 50%. Prescott rolls, throws, and it's caught by Witten, but he'll be denied first down yardage. So the Packer defense will get off the field on this second Dallas possession.
This offensive line, again, affording Dak Prescott time in the pocket. He's trying to get the ball to the outside. He reads the coverage well and does not throw the ball into danger, rolls back out to his left. Witten just not deep enough to pick up the first down with the reception. But some of the things that Prescott's been able to do, and usually you confuse a young quarterback and you catch him throwing into some various looks defensively. He just has not done that.
Jones on the punt, and Davis a fair catch at the 14-yard line. Well, Rodgers and the Packers move the ball up and down the field. Their first go around, but the Cowboys lead it 7-3.
Today's game is sponsored by Chili's $10 3-for-me deal. Chillin' since '75. By Microsoft Surface, the official tablet of the NFL. And by Corona Extra, who invites you to find your beach.
Well, I think our distinguished crew spent the entire weekend over at Luna Coffee in De Pere, Wisconsin. While they were bouncing off walls last night. So a first down. Play action and Rodgers to throw it and down the middle of the field, and then it's jarred loose. Was that a catch by Jordy Nelson and then a fumble? And yes is the decision.
The catch, a fumble, and a recovery by Dallas.
Take a look and see if he definitely had. Yeah, looked to me like he had possession. That's a point of emphasis for the league right now. Anything close, they're going to rule incomplete, but it sure looked like a catch and a fumble. Jordy Nelson's had a tough couple of weeks. He had 3 drops last week, one of which led to an interception off his hands in the red zone, and here in the first quarter he puts the ball on the ground and gives the Cowboys great offensive field position.
And of course they'll make sure they'll take a look at it as they do on every change of possession or turnover, but it'd be hard to imagine, as Barry Church was the one who delivered the hit to jar it loose, that this would be overturned. Of course, Nelson's come all the way back from the ACL injury, missing all of last year. Not quite at 100%. Sometimes those things take a lot longer than just 12 months.
Yeah, I talked to him on the field before the game. He feels like he's back where he was, but I think they always feel that way.
Play action fake. Prescott steps away from trouble and is able to deliver a strike to Williams, a first down.
It is so good by Dak Prescott in the pocket, and he's able to drop back and just have the presence and feel to step up and not panic and then deliver a good ball to Terrence Williams. And that's probably what has impressed me the most about Dak Prescott is his ability, as you see. He just sets the record.
Yep.
163. It's ironic that it's Tom Brady's record who he breaks, because a lot of comparisons between those two guys on what's going to happen when a decision has to be made when the starter resumes. Bill Belichick in 01 stayed with Tom Brady when Bledsoe was ready. What's going to happen with the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, you better buckle up there, Hall of Famer. I'm going to be asking your opinion of that a little bit later on. That's a hot topic in Big D.
I'll get ready.
Into the NFL record books goes Dak Prescott. He's hit on 7 of 8, 79 yards and a touchdown. And 163 pass attempts to begin his career without an interception. Had an eye on Ezekiel Elliott there. It's incomplete.
Go back and take a look at that previous play, and this is what Dak Prescott did not do in college. He did not take the ball from under center. He didn't run play action, and he didn't drop back. But on this play, as he works up into the pocket, he's not watching the pass rush. He's just managing the pocket as you should. As a quarterback, he does it outstanding. And there's Terrence Williams working across the field, and guy's had some lapses this year, but he has really stepped up and had a nice start to his season. He's made some nice plays, especially with the injury to Dez Bryant here in the last few weeks.
Packers have some injuries in that secondary. They're without their Pro Bowler Sam Shields. That's Alfred Morris, and he picks up a yard. And then yesterday, when we were at practice, Quentin Rollins, a very valuable member, as a third corner in that Green Bay secondary, got hurt. James Starks was injured last week, left the team after a death in his family, and so it's been a rough week for Mike McCarthy.
Yes, it has. I mean, they've had a lot of injuries this year, and Mike McCarthy's first thing he talked about when we visited with him yesterday.
Last 3rd and 9, Green Bay came up with a stop. Blitz coming, and it's jarred loose and intercepted. The ball pops into the air, and that is a second interception for Joe Thomas. What a huge play by this Green Bay defense.
Looked like it was Julius Peppers who came off the edge and is able to get Prescott's hand just as he's trying to let the ball go.
So one pass attempt after breaking the all-time record. That is the first interception by Prescott.
Well, we see as Julius Peppers comes around the edge, he's able to get a hand on the ball on Prescott as he's trying to deliver it, and just a great opportunity there to keep points off the board by this Green Bay Packers defense after the Cowboys got the ball with great field position to start that drive. It's a great job on their part.
And Troy, I'm being told that is not going to be ruled an interception. That is going to be ruled a fumble that never touched the ground. So
most
Prescott
interceptions
still,
don't.
no, they don't.
319.
Lacey back in the game off the left side, and that'll be a gain of 3. So again, to repeat, this is not an interception by Prescott.
You watch Peppers here as he comes off the edge around Doug Free, and he just keeps playing. You know, for a guy who's his age, now in his 15th year, they're utilizing him and trying to keep his snaps down so he can be fresh on these third down situations. He makes a key play in this ballgame.
He is now 36 years young. Catch made by Justin Perillo. That's another area of injury for these Packers. Their regular starter is Jared Cook. He's out, having left for a second straight game with an ankle injury. So today they go with Rodgers and Perillo.
Well, Eddie Lacy's worth keeping an eye on. We talked about it coming into the game. We've heard Aaron Andrews' report, but he's hobbled walking around. It looks like it's giving him some problems. You just don't know how much longer he's going to be able to go.
Hey, 5-0. Look at the 8. Look at Island. 319. 319.
Third down and 3, 4-man rush. Rodgers looking around. Boy, you give him that much time and you are good as cooked. And he finds Cobb to the 45. That looked like the old Aaron Rodgers right there. So elusive in the pocket and delivers a strike to keep the drive alive. When we return after a word from your local Fox. Montgomery in the backfield as we're set to begin the second quarter. 7-3 Dallas, and they hand it to Montgomery. And there is just nowhere to go. And the reason that Montgomery is in there, the fear for Green Bay is how long could Eddie Lacy go today on that wounded ankle?
Well, this was the last play before the quarter, and you see that he's clearly hobbled, and then he'll signal over to the sidelines that he needs to come out. And I don't know that we're going to see much of him the rest of this afternoon.
That running game had just started to get going for the Packers. Less than 95 yards in each of the first two. They've gone for 123, then 147 on the ground their last two. That ball pops in the air and is nearly intercepted. Sean Lee almost made the play.
Well, I don't know what's going on some of these types of throws. I mean, it's Abradaris, who's a receiver that Rodgers really likes. In fact, in visiting with him yesterday, he said that he wants him to get more opportunities because the guy simply gets open. And Sean Lee almost with a great opportunity to get another takeaway, but a real easy throw and a well-run route, and yet Rodgers was considerably off the mark.
So third down and 12. They need to get to the Dallas 36 to convert on third down, and forever back there is Rodgers. And apparently nobody's open, and down he goes, and a penalty flag comes in. Did Durant grab a hold of that face mask of Aaron Rodgers? Boy, if so, that is a costly penalty.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
Wow, that takes away a 15-yard sack, and it turns into a first down.
Yeah, real costly because they got Aaron Rodgers in the rights, and right there is what they get is the headgear. Clearly, the referee's right there watching the whole thing, and a penalty that certainly hurts the Cowboys, and great coverage on the back end by this Cowboys defense. A lot of time, once again, just like last week, for Rodgers to try to find somebody, just nobody able to shake coverage, and Rod Marinelli obviously not happy about that penalty.
Marinelli, 67 years young, in his third year as the Cowboys defensive coordinator. Started his coaching career at Rosemead High School in California in 1973. Would have been 4th and 24 on the other side of midfield. Instead, it's first down. And again thrown behind the intended receiver, in this case Richard Rodgers. Now, could Rodgers have caught it? We'll take a look, but he's wide open.
Yeah, they turn him loose in this zone coverage, and down the middle of the field, Rodgers sees him, and a ball that obviously is behind him. Aaron is frustrated with himself. Yeah, Richard Rodgers could have caught that ball, but for a guy who has been as accurate as Aaron Rodgers has been throughout his career, to miss some really just basic throws, it's just something I'm not used to seeing.
319.
Second down and 10. Here's Lacy back in the game. That's powerful running right there. It's inside the 30. That'll be a gain of 5. Well, there's a lot of jawing going on down there. We brought up before this game ever started, Troy, that, you know, down in the trenches in a seemingly game that is evolving into throwing the ball a lot, everything through the air, these two teams are still committed, when healthy, to running the football.
Yeah, I think the shift really for both teams. Just a few years ago, both of these teams were throwing the ball a lot.
Yep.
The Packers were throwing it because they couldn't run it, and then they drafted Eddie Lacy, and they became a more balanced offense, but in the process of that, they've struggled in the passing game.
Rodgers again, just getting incredible protection. And that is Jordy Nelson, and he is a yard short of the first down. Okay, here we go again now. Decision time, and the decision has been made. Second time, 4th and a yard. Yeah, they're saying 2. It doesn't look like 2.
It's. I was going to say, if it's a yard, it's a full yard, and the way they got stuffed on 3rd and 1, I don't disagree with this call. Like I said, I really thought McCarthy was going to go for it earlier in the first quarter. I like the decision here to kick it.
43 yards for Mason Crosby, and right down the middle for the 10th-year kicker, and a good one. And a good game as we expected at Lambeau Field.
Today's game is sponsored by the all-new 2017 Ford Super Duty. This is the next level. By DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. And by Pizza Hut. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
I mean, does it get any better than that right there? Rocher Organic Farms, just up 41 north from Lambeau Field in Little Swamico. They have corn mazes, pumpkin patches, family fun for everyone as we're closing in on Halloween. Weather spectacular on this October Sunday. And a bouncing ball to Lucky Whitehead out across the 20. Man is tripped up at the 23. That's been a frustrating start for Aaron Rodgers. A pair of field goals, missing chances for touchdowns. 12-11 to play until halftime. Dallas with the football. First down from its own 24. They'll turn and hand it to Ezekiel Elliott. And he's pushed forward for perhaps a yard, maybe 2, and there's a flag down in the middle of the field.
Holding. Defense, number 98. 5-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
That's LaTroy Guion, their nose tackle. Meanwhile, Dayton Jones, who's already missed a game this year with a knee injury, just limps off the field.
Well, there's LaTroy Guion in the middle. That's who was called for the hold, and that flag came from a long way away. I don't like the call.
He got a hold of Travis Frederick, the Pro Bowl center who grew up just down the road in Walworth, Wisconsin. Went to Bigfoot High School. Elliott once more, and he's up to the 35 on first down. Well, nobody sees sports quite like Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock. The brains to know, the guts to say it. Catch Colin and Jason, a team up on FS1's daily sports talk show. Speak for yourself, Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern. On a 2nd and 6, a strike. Boy, that had some hair on it. And that's a first down to Terrence Williams, who's off for a big start today.
It reads it well. They're giving help to the opposite side of the field, and that was the place to go. And right now, another defensive back on the field, on the ground for the Green Bay Packers.
And Demarius Randall just came back from injury last week. This is a wounded Packers secondary, and now Randall down.
This game is sponsored by the new Bacon King sandwich, only at Burger King.
Rivalry, the Packers and the Cowboys. One of the most famous games ever, that '67 NFL championship game known as the Ice Bowl. Let's go back to the injury. We talked about Randall missing 2 weeks ago with an injured groin.
Yeah, and you don't know exactly what took him off the field here, but it would seem that he may have re-aggravated the groin. And so Dom Capers once again shorthanded in the secondary, and Dimitri Goodson, he's had to come in and he just got activated. He hadn't played all year.
Yeah, suspended like Mike Pennell, both activated for the first time all year today, and that's a big carry by Ezekiel Elliott. Inside the 40, down to the 38, says, keep giving me the football.
Keep giving him the ball, and you're going to see as he comes around here and the speed that he shows to get on the edge, but then he plants and then sees the cutback and he takes it. He's an impressive guy, and we've seen him run a few routes today, and it's the one area of his game where he's outstanding that he hasn't gotten as involved yet, but he will. And when they combine his running ability between the tackles and on the edges with his ability to run routes, he'll be a real dangerous guy.
Gets it for the 9th time already. He'll pick up 3 off the right side. Against Cincinnati last week, Elliott 15 attempts, 134 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, including that 60-yard burst to begin the 3rd quarter. It was his 3rd straight game of 130 or more rushing yards. That has not been done by any player in the league since Adrian Peterson in 2012.
See the balance right now that Dallas is showing offensively.
They're going to throw it on 2nd down and incomplete. Well, Troy Aikman asked the question before the game started. You know, somebody has to be the winner, right? Is it the Dallas run game or the Green Bay run defense?
Well, right now in this first half, it's been the Dallas offensive line. They've run the ball well. They had the turnover, obviously, but they've been able to get Ezekiel Elliott going. But the big thing right now is Dallas has not been as good here in this game so far on this down here, 3rd and long.
Defender fell down, and that's Cole Beasley. Cuts it back to the inside. Flag comes in. He's to the 15-yard line. Beasley wide open after the Green Bay Packer man covering him fell down.
Well, it was a great route by Cole Beasley there in the slot. The penalty comes out late.
During the run, illegal block in the back, number 19, offense, 10 yards from the spot of the foul, 1st down.
Not a smart play by Bryce Butler. Had no bearing on the play really whatsoever.
Others getting playing time because of the man you just saw reacting to that penalty a moment ago, Des Bryant. Pro Bowl wide receiver, injured his knee week 3 against Chicago. Of course, he only played in 9 games all of last year. He broke his foot first game of the season.
So far, though, nobody's had an answer for how to defend Cole Beasley. He's been Dak Prescott's favorite receiver. His lineups in the slot. He's got great quickness, and he's a matchup nightmare. Here he is right here.
So now they try and convert on 3rd down again. They better hurry. And Jason Garrett is able to call timeout. That is the final timeout this half for the Cowboys.
Well, that's on Dak Prescott. He's got to know where the play clock is.
Cowboys have been spectacular on 3rd down. That's on 3rd and less than 4. They're at 50% on the year. Best in the league. 3rd and 3. Contact made, flag comes in, and that's a player we mentioned a moment ago playing for the first time after being activated yesterday, Dimitri Goodson.
You can see they turned Cole Beasley loose. He's just...
Defense, number 39. By rule, the ball is placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic, 1st down.
Just a break in coverage by the Packers defensively to allow Cole Beasley to just come off the line of scrimmage and find the hole within that zone. Nobody near him. Dimitri Goodson has to leave his man on the outside just to come in and try to make a play on the ball, and he plays right through Beasley, and it was a clear pass interference.
Goodson played in 14 games, but not a lot of snaps on defense a season ago. But unless they can get Randall back, and it's looking doubtful, Goodson may have to play the rest of this game. He hasn't played all year. Look at this protection now. Prescott drops the ball. And who covered it up? It's still loose down there. Well, he had nothing but daylight in front of him. And the ball slips out of his hand.
Yeah, he had the edge, as you're going to see. He had Butler, who's going to come across the middle, but he doesn't see him. And as he rolls out, the Packers lose contain. He just simply drops the ball, and we're still trying to uncover exactly who has it.
I think Mike Pennell is livid. They're going to give this football back to the Cowboys.
Yeah, it was hard to imagine.
Ruling on the field is recovery by Dallas, taken away in the pile. It's second down.
There were 2 or 3 Packers there initially to make a play. Nobody was able to get on it. As you still see it, and they're still scrambling for it at the bottom.
And Frederick's down there at the bottom of the pile. Tyron Smith, Nick Perry. A loss of 10. Second down and 20 at the Green Bay 34. Elliott spun down inside the 32 at 27 by Perry. Perry really playing good football. #1 pick out of SC in 2012. Already has a career high with 4.5 sacks so far this year. And there you look at Demarius Randall headed to the Green Bay locker room.
Oh, shoot, they lost Quentin Rollins yesterday. He was all set to go. He gets injured in what essentially is a walkthrough. And he was unable to go. He was a scratch.
And of course, both on the heels of Sam Shields being out. They lay it off to Elliott. Well, I tell you what, he's not afraid to take on tacklers, but he's short. For more on Randall, here's Aaron.
Yeah, you guys mentioned this Packers secondary hit hard by injuries. Cornerback Demarius Randall, you said walking off right here, guys. He was out last week with the groin. Looks like he re-injured it again. They're telling us he's questionable to return.
Aaron Andrews, thank you very much. So out comes one of the best in all of football, and that's Dan Bailey.
Yeah, he's proven human this year. He's missed 2 already this year from this distance, but he's typically automatic.
Well, he's battled a back injury all year. 44-yard attempt. And that is right down the middle. 10-6. Prescott of the Cowboys in front. 6:01 to play until halftime. 12 plays, 50 yards. A big penalty on that drive against receiver Bryce Butler. Took away a first down inside the 20. And after a fumble by Prescott, forced to a Dan Bailey field goal. Janice will take a knee. I want to introduce you to Jessica Bauman, wife, mother of 2, diagnosed with breast cancer 5 years ago. And thanks to Fox 11 here in Green Bay in the NFL, Jessica and her beautiful family got the red carpet treatment today, part of the football and the family campaign. As you know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we encourage everyone to join the fight against breast cancer. Hanging out with a Hall of Famer Troy Aikman before the game today.
It was great having them in the booth. As you take a look at them there, and their favorite player, all of them in Jordy Nelson jerseys. They said their second favorite player, I was waiting for them to say Aaron Rodgers. They said Jared Cook, who just joined the team.
Yeah, he just came over as a free agent from the Rams, although he is out injured today. Lacey back in the game. Tell you what, he's moving pretty well, and there's another leapfrog of the defender. They have him listed at 234. If he weighs 234, I weigh 234.
Yeah, he's not 234. He's more like 254, and weight was an issue for him last year, but when he's able to do these kinds of things, he's awfully dangerous, and he's a hard man to tackle. He's got great size. He showed it last week. You know, he ran the ball well last week against the Giants, and there were a lot of times in that game there was nothing there, and he just carried defenders with him. That time, offensive line does an excellent job creating that backside cut.
And you have to be encouraged if you're a Packer fan that after that run, they're going to give it to him again. Although he is stuffed at the line of scrimmage this time by Terrell McClain. McClain coming off a great game, 2 sacks in the win over the Bengals.
Well, Terrell McClain, he is excellent in his ability to get up the field and make a play then on Eddie Lacy. And he, as you said, Tom, he's had a great year. And I know in visiting with Sean Lee, he said he's been one of the big differences for this defense from where they were a year ago. McClain went down last year, the second game of the season, and not many people have talked about what that did to them up front, but he's healthy and he's playing lights out.
Well, he's only played in 15 games in the last 2.5 years, so you really don't know what you have out of McClain. Rodgers slings it across the middle and finds Devontae Adams to the 42-yard line.
This pass protection is ridiculous. I mean, watch the amount of time that he has to stand there. Even he started getting a little nervous, saying somebody's got to be coming from somewhere. He has time to let those guys get down the field and find a hole, and I don't care who you are as a defensive secondary. With that kind of time, any quarterback in this league is going to carve you up.
Oscar, yeah, 5-0.
Very little, if any, pressure on Rodgers so far today. That is not the forte of this Dallas defense. They had a good game against the Bengals last week, but pass rush has been missing. They dump it off the top, and that's a huge loss. Let's check in back in Los Angeles with Carissa Thompson.
Thanks, Tom. We head to Seattle. The Hawks were up 7-3. Russell Wilson hands it off to rookie Alex Collins for that 2-yard score. The 5th-round pick out of Arkansas's first touchdown. The Hawks up 14-3.
All right, Miss Thompson, thank you. In Seattle, off to an excellent start so far this year, even with an injured quarterback in Russell Wilson. Arizona started 1-3, got a win last week trying to get back on track.
Well, I think you look around the league now, you never know exactly what teams are going to be, but now through 5 weeks, we're getting a pretty good picture.
Lacy takes a big hit from Lee. Collins also in on the tackle, got a big chunk of that loss back. But it brings up 3rd down, and let's see, it'll be a 3rd and 10.
I tell you, Eddie Lacy, he's just fighting through this. As you see, they're trying to sub, and Aaron Rodgers wants to get a snap off as Dallas. And here he gets it.
Yep, they got him, and he's got a free play. They're going to blow it dead. The Cowboys were trying to call a timeout, and the Cowboys don't have a timeout.
They're going to huddle up and see if they can work their way through this. The Cowboys were trying to sub. I didn't see Green Bay subbing any of their players.
Delay a game. Defense. They called a timeout, which they did not have. Yeah. It's a 5-yard penalty. It remains 3rd down.
And once Aaron Rodgers is the best in the business at catching a team trying to sub their defensive players, and Justin Durant right there in the middle, he's calling the timeout. The officials lose track that the Cowboys don't have any, and Aaron Rodgers is frustrated with that because he gets a free play, and we've seen how many times he takes a shot with a free play and makes something big happen.
Mike Pereira, there was a lot going on right there.
Well, you know, this is the new rule now. They inadvertently granted the timeout, it appeared, because they didn't have a timeout left, and it used to be just an oops, but this year it is a 5-yard penalty for delay a game.
Well, 3rd and 10 now becomes 3rd and 5. And Lacy in motion alongside Rodgers.
I think Rodgers still would have liked that free play rather than 5 yards.
No doubt. 3-man rush. Now that's just forcing a throw right there. And Rodgers very lucky that wasn't intercepted. Claiborne and Lee collide, and it's Claiborne who's down.
This is a tight window as Lee comes in, and Rodgers not seeing Lee in his, and he takes one right in the face from Sean Lee.
Medical staff out to take a look at Morris Claiborne. You know, you wonder how these guys are able to get up and walk off the field. Thankfully, that's the case for Claiborne after this.
Well, Morris Claiborne certainly not expecting to get hit. on that particular play from the inside with Sean Lee. And we'll see what the Packers here are going to do on 4th down. It would be what, Tom, a 55-yarder or so if they tried the field goal. Mason Crosby has not attempted a 50-plus yarder yet this season, and the Packers are going for it on 4th and 5.
Well, they sent Crosby out on the field and then told him to come back, and Dallas was scrambling on defense to adjust.
Well, you got to worry about the hard count with Aaron Rodgers. He's awfully good at it. That gave him the first down.
Well, they're going to play it. 3-man rush. Great protection. And batted away. What a nice play by the free safety, Byron Jones. It looked like Randall beat him, but perhaps slightly underthrown on 4th down.
Well, it did look like Cobb may have had a step on Byron Jones. He sure did. It's just slightly underthrown and not able to lay it over the top of him. But Byron Jones, I mean, these are the kinds of things that he can do. He's got corner skills. They love what he's been able to do from the safety position. He's able to come up and play guys like Randall Cobb, who's got unbelievable quickness, and he makes a good play on the ball. And there's not many guys playing that safety position that have the versatility that Byron Jones has.
But at the end of the day, it did appear, and you pointed it out, Troy, that Cobb had him beat. And those are throws we're used to seeing Aaron Rodgers make. So now 1st down for the Cowboys, starting at the 37. And just beyond the reach of Ezekiel Elliott, 2nd down. Now the Cowboys don't have any timeouts. We're 4 seconds away from a 2-minute warning. On the flip side, Green Bay, all 3 timeouts remaining, and thinking, hey, we can get a quick stop here and maybe one more shot.
Well, the clock's going to stop at 2 minutes. So right now here at 2nd down, what do the Cowboys do? I would almost expect them to run the football here and see what it looks like on 3rd down before making a decision as to whether or not they want to keep it rolling here.
Prescott down the middle of the field. That is outstanding coverage. That's Morgan Burnett. Been a frustrating start for Rodgers. His team trails 10-6. Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to iTunes.com/NFL. Morris Claiborne making his way a moment ago back to the Dallas locker room after being shaken up. Aaron will be on that story in a moment. A tick under 2 to go in the half. 3rd down and 10. Prescott looks down the field, and he had an open receiver. And through the hands of Terrence Williams. So 3 and out. All 3 on pass attempts. And virtually no time burned off the clock. So Green Bay with all 3 timeouts remaining to get it back.
That's why I thought they might run it on 2nd down, see if they can make it a manageable 3rd down, maybe even pick up the 1st down, and then they've got a whole new set. But on 3rd and long, pretty much forced to throw it there. Packers don't have to use a timeout. And you don't see the Cowboys go 3 and out very often, but they're going to ball back to Rodgers a lot of time.
An entire series took 17 seconds off the clock. And this is Trevor Davis, and look out. Davis down the sideline, cuts it back to the inside in big-time field position. And in a 10-6 game, a special teams play could indeed change the momentum, and Davis delivers the goods.
Yeah, Trevor Davis, he's got great speed. He's a 4-3 guy, and he sees a crease, a missed tackle there. And he sets up Aaron Rodgers with nice field position with, as I said, a lot of time, and even more so with the 3 timeouts still left for them.
It's a 25-yard return for Davis. 5th round pick out of Cal. So this drive starts just over the 45-yard line, and Rodgers with 3 timeouts and a drop by Adams.
Davante Adams, to me, is really the guy who has to emerge for this Packers offense. And I've always said you're as good as your 3rd receiver. And when Randall Cobb first came to Green Bay, he was the 3rd guy. And this year he's the number 2. Heck, last year Cobb was the number 1. But Davante Adams as the 3rd receiver, he's got to threaten defenses more than he has.
Coming off a big game against the Giants last week. They lay it off to Montgomery. And the Stanford grab will step out of bounds. Wilcox is in, replacing Morris Claiborne. Coming up at halftime, the unveiling of a new name.
Trying to catch the Cowboys again with an extra guy on the field. They almost did.
And Rodgers is dropped all the way back to the 35-yard line, but we'll wait on the flag. Boy, you're right about Rodgers and those free plays through the
12 players
years.
on the field, on the defense. 5-yard penalty.
Yeah, I didn't see the flag come out, but you're going to see him running off here, trying to get off, and just barely not able to get to the sidelines. But yeah, Rodgers is as good as there is. I mean, he keeps an eye on that, and I'm really surprised after they got him the last time that they would be trying to substitute in this situation against this quarterback. Nobody does it better.
Well, they're loaded up with players in the secondary right now. Jeff Heath is in the game.
They're one-on-one across the board right now if they want to take a shot.
3-man rush. 8 drop back. And they're taking a shot. Cobb had turned one way, and the throw came the other way. And again, there's a case of Cobb getting behind the safety. This should have been 6.
Yeah, Rodgers just doesn't see it right away, and the angle, once he does to the sideline, would have run him right out of bounds. So in order to have any opportunity, he had to lead him to his upfield shoulder. That's a tough play for Randall Cobb, but this offense has just lacked big plays. They have yet to have a 20-yard completion in this game, and they haven't had many all year.
So they get golden field position after the big punt return, and are forced to punt. That'll be down at the 2-yard line. Jacob Shum getting a rare round of applause. Looking forward to the third quarter, because joining us will be the man whose name will be unveiled here at halftime. We'll leave you with that thought.
A little better weather than the last time he was here on Thanksgiving, and this crowd they're sure excited about Brett Favre coming out, and he's excited to be receiving that Hall of Fame ring that they're going to present him with. And I don't know, this is an unbelievable stadium here at Lambeau Field, but it just seems like it's been lacking something, and that's Favre's name up there with some of these other Packer greats.
That will change in a matter of minutes. .101 to play until halftime. And again, the Packers still have all 3 timeouts left. Elliott dives forward up to the 7, and the Packers will call timeout. 3 seconds go by. Coming up at halftime, how about it, Kurt Menefee back in Los Angeles.
Coming up on the Visa halftime, Carson Wentz and the Eagles lose their 2nd straight, while Washington wins its 4th in a row. The Dolphins score a huge upset over the Steelers in Miami, and the Giants come up big late in the game in their win over the Ravens. It's all coming up on the Visa halftime.
All right, Kurt and company looking forward to that. And yeah, it's been a familiar sight, and it's going back longer than just a couple of weeks. Aaron Rodgers shaking his head when he's looking for answers, quite honestly. 10 of 17, only 74 passing yards. Second and 6. Elliott short of a first down. And, you know, Troy, really, this half has been a microcosm, if you will, of the way they're talking about the Packers offense overall, you know, or their team overall. They're saying, look, we may not be doing the things offensively we're used to doing, but the bottom line is we're 3-1. Today, they're not doing what they want to do, but they're only down 10-6.
Well, they're right in this ball game, and yet, regardless of whatever they do say, I mean, there is frustration. The bar is pretty high here in Green Bay for what they are accustomed to doing offensively, especially, you know, for Aaron Rodgers. But I also know, you know, offensive football, it's a funny thing. I mean, you can lose confidence, you can lose momentum in a hurry, but you can also regain it in a hurry. They just have not been able to make enough plays consistently and consistently convert on 3rd down to sustain these drives. And I know it's been very frustrating for number 12, as much as he wants to downplay it.
All right, so a 3rd down and a yard. And they hand it off to Lucky Whitehead. And look out. Whitehead dragged out of bounds at the 40-yard line, stopping the clock with 40 seconds left. And now all of a sudden the Cowboys thinking about a field goal, and there he is, about to receive his Hall of Fame ring here shortly.
Looks like Favre wore his best Sunday clothes today, too.
So you guys are already in the Hall of Fame to get away with saying that. I wasn't going to go there. I was going to say, did he lose his razor again?
He's the best. He's the best. I'm looking forward to having him up here in the third quarter. We'll visit with him a little bit. I'm excited about this crowd's reaction, too, when it comes out.
All right, out of the shotgun, Prescott steps, throws a long ball. Defender fell down. And it is caught by Williams. He will step out of bounds at the 20-yard line.
Tell if he ran a double move out there or not. You know, he kind of starts like he's going to the inside and just completely turns around Ladarius Gunter. And in this situation, you just can't give up that type of play up the sideline.
That is a 42-yard reception. So you go the big run by Whitehead. Just his fourth carry all year long. Now the big pass play. Cowboys thinking touchdown. And it is a touchdown on the throw to Bryce Butler. How about the rookie quarterback, Dak Prescott, delivering that throw right on the button?
Well, they beat Ladarius Gunter on the play before, and Prescott comes right back to him with, this time, Bryce Butler. He just runs right by him and waiting to see if he secures the ball, which he does, and Prescott puts the ball right on the money. That's a heck of a drive by the Cowboys here at the end of this first half, but there's a lot of mistakes and some bad football defensively by this Packers defense.
That is 97 yards on 5 plays, taking 34 seconds. You know, it's just incredible how Prescott even found himself in this position to begin with. When they drafted him, bear in mind they had 2 fourth round draft choices. 2 of them. He was the second 4th round draft pick of the Cowboys. And he was a 135th pick overall. And on this drive, when you're thinking, all right, they want to just run out the clock, they're out of timeouts. Bang, 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 starting with Whitehead.
Well, they run the jet sweep, and they've run that in each of the 3 games, the last 3 games with him, and he's had nice gains. They come back with it there, and they pick up a nice gain. A little double move on the outside, completely get Gunter turned around. He's in man-to-man coverage, and then they come right back the very next snap. They get Butler in behind Gunter, and a perfectly thrown ball to cap off that drive. 97 yards, as you said, for a touchdown, and that's just some bad football, really, defensively, giving up those kinds of points with very little time on the clock and no timeouts for the Cowboys.
Prescott went into training camp as a number 3 quarterback, and they were perfectly content for that to happen in his rookie year, but how it changed quickly. Kellen Moore, the designated number 2 quarterback, breaks his leg the first week of training camp. All right, so now Prescott's moved up to number 2, but a lot of rumors that they go find a veteran quarterback. And there were a lot of them out there. Then the 3rd preseason game, Tony Romo injures his back against Seattle. Meanwhile, when Prescott played, he was doing a great job. He didn't throw an interception in the preseason. Well, the Cowboys decided once Romo was injured that Dak Prescott was going to be the guy. He lost his first game of the year. Got a win a week later. They've lipped off 4 in a row. And the question in Dallas, Troy Aikman, what to do when Tony Romo's ready to play?
Well, you got to wait until he's ready to play to see exactly what the situation looks like at that time. But if it continues the way that it has, I just think when you have momentum and you're playing with confidence like this Cowboys team is, it's a hard thing to capture in this league, and why you would want to upset that is beyond me. To go back to your point about the quarterback situation, in my opinion, the Cowboys mishandled the backup quarterback position, but this young man's bailing them out. No one expected him to be playing.
No. And now a nice pickup. 22 seconds left. on a catch made by the tight end Richard Rodgers. Obviously, the Packers are not going conservative here.
When you think about it, Tom, the Cowboys got a franchise quarterback in Tony Romo who was undrafted. And it appears they have a franchise quarterback who they drafted in the 4th round. History will tell you that you do not find a first-round quarterback beyond the first 36 picks or so in the NFL draft. So for the Cowboys to potentially have 2 franchise quarterbacks and only have drafted 1 in the 4th, that really says a lot.
It really does. And now they swing it again, this time to Montgomery. He has a first down across midfield. Packers will spend a timeout. And that will be the final timeout, I believe, for the Packers in the half. 15 seconds remaining, and Brett Favre, he's laughing about that line you had about his Sunday's best
he's
today.
He's checking that phone. He's laughing at a text somebody sent him, I guess, but good for him.
Now let me ask you, do you have that jacket at home?
Last time I checked, I did.
I mean, but it's like rings a lot of times. You'll ask a guy who's got a Super Bowl ring or, World Series ring. They're like, I don't even know where it is.
Maybe he's texting this guy. No, I know exactly where my jacket is, Tom.
All right. Just want to make sure.
Along with my rings.
15 seconds left. No more timeouts. Montgomery. Does he get out of bounds? He does. 8 seconds left. Well, we mentioned that Crosby has not attempted a 50-plus yard field goal all year. Do they have enough time for a quick out?
Well, they either got to get something out quick to the sideline and out of bounds, or they're going to take a shot then into the end zone for a Hail Mary. And my guess is they're going to try to take a shot into the end zone.
Of course, Rodgers had 2 of those last year. One in a playoff game against Arizona, the other to beat Detroit.
You see the Cowboys lined up on the boundary. They're going to try to force all throws into the middle.
Sliding down, they're trying to hurry. We'll see if they get it off. Did they or didn't they? Rodgers, free play. Montgomery cuts it to the inside, and that's the way the first half will come to an end. Apparently they got that play off. Why would Rodgers have not spiked the ball? Or would he had not enough time? The clock would have expired.
Well, either way, but I don't know that he got it off. I was a little surprised that they didn't come in and blow that one dead, but I think they were surprised themselves.
All right, we're at halftime. 17-6 Dallas. We go to Kurt Menefee and company in Los Angeles. The Visa halftime starts now. Today's excitement brought to you by the new Nissan Titan. That's today's excitement brought to you by the new Nissan Titan. An incredible excitement for this sellout crowd, 320th consecutive sellout crowd at Lambeau Field for one of their all-time heroes, Brett Favre. Came here in a trade from Atlanta in 1992. Said hello to the youngster Dak Prescott. Of course, both Southerners. Prescott from Louisiana, and of course Brett Favre from Mississippi. And Brett Favre is on his way up to our Fox television booth here at Lambeau Field, and we'll welcome him in momentarily. Looking forward to having him up here.
Well, he thrilled this crowd for a number of years. They gave him a great reception when he came out. Good to see his name out there once again. His number was already retired back on Thanksgiving of last year.
17-6 at halftime, and we check in downstairs with Aaron.
All right, let's start with Jason Garrett, who said for his offense, obviously very happy with the first and the last drive. He said some things we need to be more efficient on. Let's start with the 3rd down. Also, it's very obvious for his defense, as he pointed out to me. We have to get to Aaron Rodgers. One note for Dallas's defense, so they will be without cornerback Morris Claiborne, guys.
Well, that's a big hit for Dallas in the secondary. Claiborne is playing outstanding football right now. The Packers are going to win this game. Aaron Rodgers has to do something in the second half he has not done all year long, and that is throw a touchdown pass. Not a single one of them so far in the second half this season. They pitch it to Lacy. Third time he jumps over a would-be tackler. And it's up to the 24. Aaron, how about Mike McCarthy? What did he have to say?
Well, I just said to him, Tom, how would you assess your offense in the first half? And he said, look, our running game, we're trying to do the best we can. We're trying to manage it with Eddie Lacy's injury and what we have going. I then said, Coach, what about Aaron Rodgers? How did you think he did in the first half? He took a deep sigh and said, look, we're missing a lot of things. There's drops. He's not throwing it very well. He's like, we just have to be better with details here. And they hope to do that in the second half.
Great stuff, Aaron Andrews. Thank you very much. Rodgers 15 of 22, 135 yards. And Lacy first down yardage or close to it. Well, he almost looked like he was stonewalled. And you don't see that from a big man that frequently. He took a big hit, and he's telling the defender he delivered the big hit.
Well, it looked like he might have slipped just a little bit as he was going down, but he definitely took a big hit there from Anthony Hitchens, which kept him from picking up what looked to be an easy first down, but now brings up 3rd and short.
Well, we saw a 3rd down and 1, the very first drive to begin the game, when they handed the ball to Lacy, and he will get a first down. He's been airborne almost as much as he's been on the ground.
Well, and I'll tell you that he would be able to in the early going when he left the game initially. I wasn't so sure he would even get back in the game, and he's made some nice runs. He's finished some runs. He's run tough. He's given them all they got. That was a big 3rd down conversion there. We heard Aaron Andrews talk about Jason Garrett, unhappy with their 3rd downs, not converting. Neither offense has really been good in this game where that was a strength coming in.
Lacy cuts it back to the inside, and he's up to the 40-yard line. That'll be a gain of 4, close to 5. He's still on his feet. The whistle had been blown, though. Well, one of the best news shows of the fall season is Lethal Weapon. Damon Wayans, Lane Crawford. Great chemistry. The whole hour is nonstop fun. If you haven't seen it, why not check it out? Catch an all-new Lethal Weapon Wednesday on Fox.
If the Packers are able to get this running game going consistently and just kind of settle everybody else down, that would help Aaron Rodgers in this receiving core. This has been a nice drive with Eddie Lacy here to start this second half.
A 5-yard gain by Lacy. Play action this time. Rodgers rolling. Dumps it off to the fullback, who spins away from the tackle. That was Wilcox who hit Ripkowski. He's a native of Dayton, Texas. Walked on at Oklahoma and saw considerable playing time on offense for the first time all year long last week in the win over the Giants.
Ripkowski, who came from Oklahoma, fullback, played his last year there, and you don't see a lot of those guys that have played the position prior to getting to the NFL. Heck, you don't even see a lot of teams that carry a fullback. But with time to throw, once again, just nobody creating much separation with the man coverage Dallas has shown.
Empty backfield on a 3rd and 3. And that's a nice catch right there. That's a low throw and an outstanding play made by Montgomery to cash in on the first down.
And Montgomery, he can run, and he's a hard guy to get on the ground once he has it, but this is a tough catch for him. If he catches that, he's got room to go. And you see his shake move there, and there's nobody really out in front of him. Carr's the only guy who can come in. No guarantee he makes the tackle, but just a little bit off on some of these throws as we've seen throughout this game.
All right, a gain of 9.
Sled. Triple R. 319. 319.
Lacy looking for a little running room. Just not much there. Let's check in back in Los Angeles. A game break to Kurt Menefee.
All right, Atlanta had 86 yards of offense in the first half at Seattle, but they'd come out in the second half. And Matt Ryan hooks up with Julio Jones, 36 yards on the score, pulls them to within a touchdown. It's proven to be a pretty good one there. Tom, Troy, and Aaron.
Well, it figured to be a good one. Matt Ryan's having a great year. They would be the surprise team, perhaps along with these Cowboys, in the NFC so far.
Yeah, they're one of those teams that has emerged that not a lot of people thought was going to be as good as they are.
8th play. Terrible throw. And it's intercepted by Barry Church, and he brings it back across the 50.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. By Nissan, innovation that excites. And by State Farm, here to help life go right.
Big turnover. First interception thrown today, the 4th so far this year by Rodgers. On this opening possession of the second half, and now the Cowboys on offense give it to Ezekiel Elliott. And Elliott stiff arms and then shoved to the turf, but all the way inside the 25. Let's go back to the interception a moment ago.
Well, Barry Church initially lines up like he's going to double the outside on Jordy Nelson, but instead he drops down. Aaron Rodgers never looks to his left where he has one-on-one coverage and starts to work the middle, but when he comes back to that deep crosser, Church falls underneath the route, and that's just simply Aaron Rodgers being confused by the pre-snap coverage look and not reading it through.
That was a 25-yard carry by Ezekiel Elliott. It's the first time this year they've allowed a 20-yard run.
Yeah, this is, on that particular play, we've seen some missed throws where he's been a little off. You know, heck, having said that, he completed 68% there in the first half of this game. But on that play there, just once the ball was snapped, not really recognizing what was happening and completely lost sight of the safety, Barry Church. Hey, this defense right now for the Packers, 17-6 ball game. Momentum clearly changed at the end of that half. They got a chance to blow this thing open.
Under 9 to go in the hands of Beasley. And he has a first down and then some inside the 20, the 10, and down to the 7-yard line. Got an outstanding block, a couple of them, by Witten and Terrence Williams.
It's like Dak Prescott said, you said it earlier, that Cole Beasley, he's just simply a guy who makes plays, and this is basically an extension of the run game. Wide receiver screen, athletic lineman, they get him out in front, and a nice pickup for the Cowboys. Tyron Smith showing his athleticism, and he's missed a couple games. Heck, he's been playing with a bulging disc in his back. Didn't slow him down there.
Well, he was able to come back and play against the Bengals last week after missing 2 games. And here's Elliott. And he is spun down by Burnett inside the 5, 2nd and goal for Dallas.
You know, you go back to Cole Beasley, and a guy who's really having a career year to start this season, and heck, his career almost ended before it got started. He left in training camp, decided he didn't want to play football, and wasn't sure that it was something that he was enjoying, and the Cowboys let him go home and kind of give it some thought. He finally decided to come back and play, and I know that that was the best decision he's ever made, and the beneficiaries are the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, they had Elliott split to the left. Now he comes in the backfield. And they hand it to Ezekiel Elliott. A gain of 1.5 yards.
And now we'll see what Dallas elects to do and whether they're going to put the ball in the air, or as we've seen already from Prescott, he's really dangerous in this part of the field, making a defense defend him as well. If they get out of those lanes and they don't contain, he's a guy who's certainly capable of tucking it and running with power.
They have trips to the top of your screen, and now be joined making a quartet with Elliott up there. Look at that formation. They come back the other way, and it's thrown behind Bryce Butler. I was very surprised that Cole Beasley left the field on that 3rd down and goal. He had the touchdown reception inside the 5 in the first quarter.
Well, anytime a defense sees him on the sidelines, they're pretty happy about that. So one less guy that they have to worry about, a real threat. But Prescott, as they go 4 to one side, he had his guy. It was one of the poor throws that we've seen from him in this ballgame.
That's good stop, big stop for Green Bay. 22-yard field goal try now by Bailey. Did his only attempt in the opening half. 2 out of 2 on the day. 20-6. Under 7 to go in the third. All right, still a long way to go. And a couple of touchdowns away are the Green Bay Packers with 6:58 to play in the third after the interception thrown by Rodgers turns into 3 for Dallas. Bailey spins it away. And down on a knee is Montgomery. We'll see if Rodgers and company can get it going.
This game is sponsored by Verizon. Join the Better Network because better matters.
America's Game of the Week on Fox with Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews, Tom Brenneman, our entire Fox crew from Lambeau Field in Green Bay. First down for Rodgers, who runs away from trouble, and he'll just tuck it away and run out of bounds after a gain of a yard on first down.
The Cowboys go to a single high safety. They drop the other guy down, and it's man-to-man, and you know, that's what Aaron Rodgers is looking at. There's just not a lot of separation at times for him to get the ball to somebody, and then he starts to feel some of that pressure. And so the timing of what you would like to have as a quarterback, drop back ball comes out. You get off of that, and then you start not trusting that things are going to come up the way that they're supposed to.
Second down, they give it to Lacy. He lost his footing trying to cut it back to the inside. Causing the disruption again was Terrell McLean. I tell you what, it is infrequent for a long time that you come to Lambeau Field in Green Bay and hear boos from the crowd. This is unquestionably one of the most supportive fan base in any sport in the United States and all of North America. But clearly there is frustration in this building right now with this offense.
Well, there's definitely a lot of restlessness. They came here to celebrate Brett Favre, and this offense, they've been watching this for quite some time. It's been an offense going back to last year that has struggled more in recent games than when they've played well.
Third down, big hit delivered by Lee, but able to hang on to the football is Davante Adams. And he's still down on the field. That is a first down catch. Goodness gracious, how do these guys do it?
Well, anytime you're running the slant route, and there's Sean Lee once again coming from the inside, just like when he took out Morris Claiborne. And you know, Davante Adams, you play wide receiver in this league and you run that slant, you know that there's potential to get hit like that. You just hope that he's okay. It was a tough catch and a tough hit by Sean Lee.
Well, thank God, good news there. Davante Adams able to get up after taking this vicious hit once more from Lee. Lee's already KO'd one of his own teammates on a similar type route when he hit Morris Claiborne.
Yeah, not a vicious hit in terms of him leading with his helmet or anything like that. It's just that it was a ball that was thrown high, and the timing of it. Davante Adams not able to protect himself, but I think Sean Lee did everything he could to try to hold up.
It was a first down reception, little delay to Montgomery. Aaron Andrews talked about before the game ever started that we might see Montgomery in the backfield. That's the 8th time he's been back there in formation today. He leads the team with 6 receptions.
Well, Aaron Rodgers was talking about him and thinks that maybe that would be his best position, is to put a tailback number on him so you can dictate personnel a little bit better.
They're looking for him again, and he has room to run. That's a first down, and he's able to break a tackle, pick up a couple of more yards into Dallas territory to the 45-yard line.
And the Packers, like the Cowboys, when they do these types of things, whether it's with Montgomery or Cobb, it's really more of an extension of their running game, just like running a sweep. But when Montgomery's in the backfield, I think they feel a little bit better about running him with the ball because he's much bigger than what Randall Cobb is, and is more of a threat and can take some of the punishment as a running back.
First down out of the shotgun. And again, it will be Montgomery. And he has a first down and then some. The ball comes loose, but he's already out of bounds, and that's a first down to the Dallas 30. Tell you, this young fella Montgomery only played in 6 games last year before tearing up his ankle. He went on IR, and you may remember the 3 games before he got hurt, he had 2 touchdown receptions.
That's that option route of him out of the backfield. We see him running the swing. He runs the option route as well. And as long as they keep giving those throws to him, then Rodgers should just keep taking them.
Adams walking back to the Green Bay locker room. It's been a very quiet back-to-back week run for Jordy Nelson. You know, he's had a touchdown in each of the first 4 games so far this year, but only 4 catches against the Giants as Church is shaken up. It's been a very hard-hitting game. You could probably say that about every game, but there have been a lot of big hits so far in this one. Small screen, stadium-size content. Watch live local Sunday games on your smartphone with NFL Mobile.
Well, injuries taking a toll for both teams, and that's been the theme, really, for both of these clubs all season long. As I said, Mike McCarthy talked about what they've had to overcome with the various injuries, and then the Cowboys, you know, they've been able to play through them, but of course they lose Romo. They've been without Dez Bryant. Their left tackle was out. Morris Claiborne now down in this ball game. And then you got Jeff Heath, who just comes in for Barry Church.
First down. Well, they set up the screen, but somebody didn't get to where they're supposed to be, and I think that was Montgomery. Now, either he got blown up on the play, or, you know, this is a good wide receiver. You're asking to be a running back.
Well, he's trying to get through the line, and you're going to see Malik Collins. He does a spin move there in the middle, and it's right where Ty Montgomery was trying to get through that little gap.
There is no foul for intentional grounding. Number 88 was in the area. Second down.
First time I've seen Rodgers smile.
Oh, boy.
That's good to see. Maybe something good's about to happen.
And, you know, look, we talked about the hot topic in Dallas, which we'll talk about again a little bit later on. Romo, Prescott, Romo. What do you do when that time comes? The hot topic of conversation starting with week 1 in a narrow win down in Jacksonville has been about this Packer offense. And Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers are getting a little testy about being asked about it. Here's Lacy. Again jumps over a defender, but he's dragged down after a very short game. Well, you look at the first 4 games last year. Rodgers 72% as opposed to 56%. 248 yards passing, under 220 this year. 11 touchdowns last year, no interceptions. 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in the first 4 this year.
It seems like it all kind of got going. You know, of course, they lost Jordy Nelson, but remember, Mike McCarthy gave up play calling duties and then took them back, and they just have not been able to get back in sync.
Third down, all day to throw, and finds the open receiver. Now the spot's going to be critical here. I'm not sure Jeff Janis knew where he was on the field. He needed to get to the 21 for a first down, and let's see, right on it, and it is a first down, and they're in hurry-up mode. Janis again to the 15, a gain of 6.
Go back and take a look at that pass previously to Jeff Janis, and here he is in the slot. He works in the middle, and I'm not sure why Rodgers didn't get him the ball right away. And like I said, I mean, he's just not seeing the field the way I'm used to seeing him. He would pick out a guy immediately as soon as they're open, and he's just late on throws, and it's made a difference in completions and incompletions in a lot of these plays.
First 2 catches of the year for Janis. And inside the 5, it's first and goal on the completion of Montgomery, who's putting together a huge game That is his 9th reception for better than 90 yards.
Well, they go right back to the middle of the field, and Montgomery this time is the guy who's able to get inside, and Rodgers does this time pull the trigger immediately, which gives Montgomery an opportunity to run after the catch.
Down at the 2 and no Eddie Lacy. Empty backfield. And Rodgers loses the football, and Bulaga was there initially, but I don't think he got it. And a critical turnover again by Green Bay. It looked like David Irving, number 95, stripped it away. And the Cowboys cover it up inside the 5. Wow. Last time the Cowboys started to drive inside their own 5-yard line was in the final minute of the first half. And they went 97 yards. Ezekiel Elliott for 2. Let's go back to the Rodgers fumble, a big one at that.
Well, this was a design quarterback draw. As you're going to see, it's 1-2 and then take it. And the Cowboys are running a spy with Justin Durant. So he fills the hole, and it forces Rodgers to then go to his right. Bulaga has a chance, but these big guys, they're not used to handling the football, and it was unable to get it. And Eddie Lacy over on the sidelines on that play, but when they broke the huddle and went empty, I was thinking surely they're not going to run a quarterback draw, but that's what was called. But having said that, Rodgers got to hang on to the football.
Second down, play action, and Prescott looking for the home run ball. In and out of the hands of Butler. And that is Goodson in coverage there, we brought up earlier. Suspended the first 4 games of the season.
Well, he had a chance. I mean, Prescott lays this thing out with another double move against Goodson, who has not been playing, as we talked about earlier, and he puts it right in his hands. It's just that Butler's unable to secure it. But a perfectly thrown ball and a deep shot you don't see a lot of from the Cowboys, but I like the call from Scott Linehan. Backed up. They're thinking you're going to be conservative and try to run the football on 2nd and long, and they take the shot and had it. Just unable to make the play.
And they need to get to the 14 for a first down. 3rd and 8. And it's intercepted by Morgan Burnett. First career interception thrown by Dak Prescott, and it comes deep inside his own territory, putting the Packers back in business.
Good coverage by Morgan Burnett on tight end Jason Witten. And I don't know if Prescott thought that Witten was going to work straight back to him, but as you're going to see, Witten at the top of this route, he works more to the middle of the field. A little bit of a grab there by Burnett as Witten's coming out of it, but the ball clearly behind him and just not on the same page, and an interception by Morgan Burnett.
So the streak comes to an end at 177 pass attempts to start a career, an NFL record before throwing an interception.
Well, Burnett bails out this offense and Aaron Rodgers. We saw the Cowboys before the end of the first half go 97 yards for a touchdown, and they got the ball backed up, but defense not only makes a stop, they give the ball right back to the offense.
And look who's back in the game. Eddie Lacy.
In that full house backfield.
We 19! We 19!
Not much running room, none at all, in fact. Lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. Jack Crawford in on the stop.
Well, this Cowboys defense, you know, they're talked about as far as what their ranking is, but one thing they definitely do is they play hard. Rod Marinelli's defenses always give great effort.
Fox NFL Sunday returns after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. Can Rodgers and the Packers cash in on the pick? We'll know in a moment. Prescott a pair of touchdowns. He's just thrown his first career interception. Rodgers is still in search of his first touchdown pass in the second half of a game this year. They'll take any touchdown, however they can get it right now. Trailing as we begin the 4th quarter at Lambeau Field, 20-6. Early movement. And a throw to the end zone, and it is too high. Oh, my goodness. Randall Cobb wide open. And Rodgers is wondering why no penalty flag was thrown. It was not.
Well, I am too. I thought they clearly got him right in the middle. Tell exactly who it was that they got. It looked like it might have been Cedric Thornton there in the middle, but I thought it was a penalty as well. And Rodgers thought that he had a free play, but even with that, you got to hit the open guy. You got an open receiver, Cobb, in the end zone for a touchdown, and he airmails him.
And now it's 3rd and 10. Rodgers a pump fake and a ball batted down at the line of scrimmage. So you get the takeaway on the interception thrown by Prescott. And it's a field goal try again.
And again, this crowd's just not happy about it. And
tell you what, David Irving is turning out to make some huge plays for this Cowboy defense.
Well, big stop there, big stop by this defense. You know, with outstanding field position to only give up a field goal opportunity.
Crosby from 34 yards out, and it is good, but that's all the Packers can muster so far. Brett Favre, the Hall of Famer, will join us when we come back. Dallas in front, 20-9.
Today's Game on Fox is sponsored by Cadillac and by the new Bacon King sandwich, only at Burger King.
Game's all-time greats, and look, when you're in my spot right now and you got Brett Favre and Troy Aikman, I'm just going to shut up. Troy, go ahead. Brett, it's great to have you with us, man. It's great to have you with us.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's nice to be back here and to be honored again. So what a special feeling.
You look inside some of the numbers, and obviously they speak for themselves. But look at these two guys that I have the privilege of standing next to right now.
There's one that stands out to me a little more than the other one.
You mean the second
over
one
here
there?
laughing. He knows. And too many times it was him beating up on me.
Yeah, and we had some great matchups during those years, and all those games that were played in Dallas. And now it seems whenever these two teams meet, they're playing here at Lambeau. I know you wish it was like that.
I don't know. You know what, Troy? I don't know if we could beat you guys. We came close, but y'all were as a complete team as I've ever seen. And I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I mean, y'all to play with y'all like we did a couple of times was pretty special. We'd love to have beaten you. We'd love to have played you here, but I don't know. I mean, y'all were good. Really good.
Well, talk about what it meant to come back here today. A little better weather than the last time you were here in November.
I was kind of, you're absolutely right, but I was kind of hoping for some sleet or something.
That'd be Lambeau-esque, right?
I mean, come on.
It's the way it's supposed to be in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's a little mild today. Although Dallas is not making it mild.
Quick hit goes to Beasley. He'll be short on a second down throw. You had a chance. We showed you saying hello down there a moment ago to Dak Prescott. You're still following the game, I know, very closely. What are your thoughts on this young man?
I'm probably no different than anyone else. I'm extremely impressed with the way he's played, with the poise that he's shown. And I'll be honest with you, I thought coming into this game it would be too big for him. Shows you what I know. I mean, coming into Lambeau Field for anyone is never easy, especially when they're playing. Their defense is playing outstanding, and I just thought it'd be too hostile of an environment for him, but he's handled it just as well as he has at home.
It's a big third down momentum play here. And they look down the field, and wide open is Lucky Whitehead. He's already made one big play in the game, and now another.
Oh, man.
You said uh-oh as soon as the play fake.
I tell you what, great view from up here.
Well, they go off the play fake
from up here, yeah.
Yeah, and you see that they're in man coverage on the back end, and Lucky Whitehead, he runs right by Gunner. Gunner takes the bite on the play fake in the backfield, not playing his man, and they've got an easy completion for another big game.
Good play call, too.
13 minutes to go. Whitehead has been primarily a kickoff return man for the Cowboys, and he has made two big plays in this game. They hand it to Ezekiel Elliott. He tripped up behind the line of scrimmage, and a flag comes in. You know, I want to ask you on the flip side, Brett, as we await this penalty call. We have seen Aaron Rodgers struggle again today. And, I mean, we brought up earlier that he's tired of talking about it. We can tell already. Mike McCarthy's tired.
The hands to the face, number 95, defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
What do you think Aaron Rodgers might be going through right now?
You know, I think, first of all, if you play long enough, you go through times where, call it a slump, if you will. And I haven't watched enough to be a critic,
sure,
an expert on what his play's like. I think there's so many factors that go into it. Troy knows this, but it gets to where it's a mental struggle to just block it out and play. And you know, Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback. That's not going to change. Do you have spurts where you don't play as well? Sure. And then you're pressed, and when you press, usually bad things happen again. He needs a break or two. You know, will he get it today? Will he get it next week? I don't know, but I mean, the guy's a great quarterback, and I mean that's the bottom line.
Sure.
Who's struggling a little bit for whatever reason.
Well, they've been spoiled by quarterback play right here in Dallas. I mean, in Green Bay for the better part of 25 years.
Yes, they have, and they've been spoiled in Dallas since Romo took over as a starter, and like we've talked about with the play of Dak Prescott. But yeah, these Packer fans have had Hall of Fame quarterback play for a lot of years.
Well, you know what? Are they 3-1? They're 3-1.
Exactly.
They're not putting up 45 points on average, but they're not bad. So it's not like, you know, we can't get a first down. So, you know, I think it's a little too soon to be pushing the panic button.
Well, I want to ask you, as we saw Tony Romo there, I know you weighed in on it this week, but what are your thoughts when the Cowboys ultimately have to make a decision?
You know, I've always been a fan of Tony, and that hasn't changed. But you can't look past how well Dak Prescott has played and how well they have played with him. And so I think to break that, you know, chemistry like this, I mean, the clutch plays and clutch times, I mean, and I know Tony has done it, but I just feel like that you can't break that right now.
Yeah, and he hangs in the pocket with great protection, and that's one of the things that certainly has helped him in being able to be comfortable back there. And then, of course, the running game. But I'm with you. You play this game long enough, Dak doesn't know how hard it is to get this kind of momentum as an offense or as a team. And if you have it, you better ride it. And why would anyone want to disrupt that? I don't know.
Yeah, and I find it hard to believe that I know Jerry made the comment a week or two ago that Tony's his quarterback, and I appreciate his. Wow.
That's Cole Beasley again for the touchdown.
Unbelievable.
Well, the Packers right now are just outmatched because of injury on the corners, and they run the bootleg with Prescott to get him out on the edge, but you're going to see the route then that Beasley runs on Ladarius Gunner. It was too easy for Prescott and Beasley.
Well, what we do know is it's been a great day for Brett Favre, and we sure appreciate you taking the time to come up and join us here today. I tell you what, we miss seeing you play, man. Everybody does.
Well, I appreciate that. I think, you know, I tell people all the time, one of the things that mean the most to me is when people say that, more so than anything, that they really enjoyed watching me play. And that's what it was all about for me.
All the best, man.
Thanks.
Good seeing you, my man. You're the best.
It's been a mighty impressive game, and still a long way to go. It's not over. 10:26 to play, but the Dallas Cowboys rolling into Lambeau Field with a rookie quarterback, a rookie running back who, by the way, is again over 100 yards rushing. 4 consecutive games. And as good as it's been for the Cowboys, off the mark for Aaron Rodgers.
Just another frustrating afternoon for Aaron Rodgers and really this entire offense. There hasn't been many good moments. You know, as you said coming into the game, 3-1, but it was really more because of what they had been able to do on defense, and the frustration continues. And the one thing that this offense, whether it's been coming into this game or in previous years with Aaron Rodgers, is they have always protected the football. But today, they turned it over 3 times. That's very uncharacteristic.
First down throw and catch for Randall Cobb. Cuts it back to the inside, and he's up to the 38-yard line.
The other thing that's made it really hard for this offense, makes it hard for any offense, is when you're not getting big chunks down the field, and the big plays have been hard to come by.
I got to tell you, and just getting away after that catch for a minute. For a guy who grew up watching football, was never good enough to play it. To be standing here next to you and Brett Favre at the same time, doesn't get much better than that, my man.
Well,
that's good stuff. And you know,
talked about the games that I had against Brett and the Packers and the Cowboys, and some really meaningful games. And I loved competing against him, and he's always been one of my favorite guys. And I thoroughly enjoyed, once I got into broadcasting, get a chance to have the best seat in the house and watch him, you know, work his magic on so many Sunday afternoons. And just a really great guy, and he's been a great friend, and it was good to see him here and see this crowd give him the reaction that he has certainly deserved.
You know, the thing that is just staggering to me, and everybody knows he holds the NFL record, 297 consecutive starts. If you include the playoffs, that mark went to 321 consecutive starts at that position. That's just beyond incredible.
Well, he's kind of set the standard as far as those guys that are expected to come out and play each and every Sunday. And I always think that as we see Barry Church leave the field again, that I think that's the greatest thing you can do for an organization, is let them know you're going to be available each and every Sunday. And nobody did that better than Brett Favre.
They run it with Lacy. Sean Lee again on the stop. The Green Bay Packers have kicked 3 field goals today. They have scored a touchdown in every home game started by Aaron Rodgers since he took over as a starter. His career record is 49-12 at Lambeau Field. But a long way to get back into this one. And Jordy Nelson gets his 3rd catch. Aaron Andrews mentioned a moment ago that Bulaga was shaken up on that Rodgers fumble, and now he walks to the locker room.
Well, this is familiar ground for this Cowboys defense. They've been up big in a lot of games in the 4th quarter, and they'll give up those throws. They're just going to make the offense methodically drive it down and keep them from getting the big plays.
You know, there again is something we alluded to earlier. You can hear the crowd. This is a frustrated, they would be the first to admit, a spoiled crowd when it comes to offensive football. Not liking what they're watching so far.
Well, I haven't liked what I've watched so far either. I mean, they just have not been very good, and they just have not, they don't establish any rhythm whatsoever, and no one's playing with any confidence.
Good throw there. Nelson turns it to the inside rather than the outside. I mean, you try to keep every precious second you can.
The Packers, in the month of October, they haven't lost since 2010. They've won 11 straight. So for the Cowboys to come in and be able to do what they've been able to do is impressive for that young team, especially when you have a rookie at quarterback and running back.
Rodgers, beautiful throw there. That is vintage Rodgers on that strike to Jordy Nelson.
This is about as good a throw as I've seen all day. It's tight coverage. You got safety help over the top, and yet you've got to thread the needle. And for Jordy Nelson, you know you're going to take a hit with the safety playing over the top, and he hangs on to it, and Aaron Rodgers throws a perfect ball.
Fire coming. Hold. Fire coming. Hey, hold. 319.
They get to Montgomery. Throw it to Montgomery. Back to the inside, and he's to the 6-yard line to bring up 2nd down, and that clock ticking to 7:15. Henry knocking on the door of 100 receiving yards. And he has 10 catches. And make it 11. This is Cobb, 18, not 88. So Randall Cobb to the end zone, and that is the first touchdown thrown in the second half of a game this year for Aaron Rodgers. Took 5 weeks to get it.
Well, they block it up on the outside. They get the ball to Cobb. You're going to see here Jordy Nelson. He comes off the ball. He's going to block the entire way, designed specifically for Cobb to get the reception and then follow in behind Jordy Nelson, and they finish off this drive for a touchdown, and one that they desperately needed in order to try to put a little bit of pressure on this Cowboys offense to do something on that side of the ball again.
Well, they'll take the traditional point after a flag is down to make it. Oh, we'll wait on the penalty. You know, it's interesting to note, you see Jason Garrett there. You go back to November of 2010. It was a 45-7 rout by the Green Bay Packers of the Dallas Cowboys, which prompted the head coaching change. Wade Phillips was let go after that game, and that's when Jason Garrett was named the head coach of the Cowboys.
Well, as we see Jason Garrett here trying to figure out exactly what's going on, I think Jason Garrett has really done a nice job with his club. We talked about some of the injuries, some of the things that they've had to overcome, and yet he's been able to keep them focused at the task. And here's another look at what might have been the penalty.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 95 of the receiving team for leverage. Kicking team has opted to keep the point. That 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the succeeding kick.
That was the right call. You can't jump in the air and then land on an opponent.
Sponsored by Hyundai, an official sponsor of the NFL.
Well, the Cowboys have all but one expecting the onside kick. There's a little pop-up. It'll be handled by Whitney.
Yeah, they didn't get that bounce they were hoping to, and that was an easy one for Jason Witten to handle.
Well, coming up later tonight, we shift gears over to baseball. Will the postseason streak of bad luck for Clayton Kershaw come to an end? Dodger fans are hoping like crazy. I know he got a save during that division series. Coming off an injury. He'll go against Kyle Hendricks. See his postseason career, an ERA of over 5. They hand it off to Ezekiel Elliott. And we go downstairs to Aaron Andrews.
Well, I love Brett Favre saying to you guys he thought Lambeau would be too big for Dak Prescott. I was actually asking Dak during pregame warm-ups what he thought of Lambeau Field, and he said, it's cool, but I've played in Baton Rouge at LSU. I've played in Alabama. All right, but greatest line from wide receivers coach Derek Dooley about Dak and how nothing rattles him. He said his pulse never gets high. He's like Hannibal Lecter. He always just stays so calm. Such a good line.
Well, that makes you feel really good. They give it to Elliott again.
I thought it was interesting when I met Dak for the first time. It was before our Week 1 game when they were playing the New York Giants, and I asked him how he thought he would feel going into that game as his first NFL start, if he gets nervous or what maybe he has to go through to settle himself down, and he said he simply does not get nervous, and I don't think he does. I mean, that's why he shows the great poise that he does, and I think Aaron makes a good point in her conversation with Dak that his background in the SEC and some of those environments that he had to play in, and they were the underdog, and he's been the underdog in a lot of ways for a good part of his life, and yet he's risen to the occasion. Every job that he's had, whether it was in high school, college, or now, has been because of injury to the starter, and he's never relinquished the job. And we'll see what happens here in Dallas.
Cowboys call a timeout before third down. Well, by and large, you pick up a first down here, and you're very close to putting this thing on ice. 5:27 to go, an 11-point lead, and they convert to who else? Jason Witten.
Well, Dom Capers, defensive coordinator, he brings pressure. He's going to bring one more than they can pick up, and yet Prescott's able to hang in there and deliver a good ball under duress to Jason Witten to keep this drive alive. That's pretty nice. It's been a good matchup right there between those two guys throughout this game, Morgan Burnett and Zeke Elliott. I mean, there's nothing he can't do. That's what usually gives those young rookie running backs problems, is pass protection, and he's awfully good there too.
So that's the first down, and the clock will spin now below 5 minutes, and we'll see a whole boatload of Ezekiel Elliott now. Still on his feet inside the 40 to the 30. Elliott to the outside, dragged down to the 21-yard line, and for Elliott, that will be his 4th consecutive game of over 130 rushing yards. That has never been done by a rookie in the NFL.
Well, he showed some of his power here, because to get to that second and third level of this defense, he had to break a tackle at the line of scrimmage, and he's an impressive young man. He's gotten a lot of carries, just 15 carries last week. It's the fewest carries that he's had this season. He's yet to have a game beyond that where he's had less than 20 carries. Most carries in the NFL coming into the game, and you start thinking, okay, well, how much do you want to, I know he says feed me, but how often do you want to do that? He wants the ball as often as he can get it, and I know the Cowboys, as long as he's doing what he's doing, they're going to keep giving it to him, and yet they don't want to overwork him, because he has gotten a lot of work through the early part of this season.
The first question you asked Troy Aikman before this game began was who would win the battle, the offensive line of the Cowboys or the defensive line of the Packers. And there you see some of the savvy play of Elliott going down inbounds. The first 4 games of this season, the Green Bay Packers allowed 171 rushing yards. The Cowboys today, 178. Now, before we go further, Roger Staubach, legendary figure in the history of the NFL, came out earlier this week and heard a lot of the same thing that we heard from Brett Favre a minute ago about what to do. The Cowboys have a bye week next week, barring a miracle here. They're going to go to 5-1. They'll play in 2 weeks from today against the Philadelphia Eagles. If Romo were well enough to play, even if it's a week after that, the way the Cowboys are playing, what do you do?
I just don't think you can disrupt the momentum that this team has. As I said when we were talking with Brett Favre, it's hard to get. And when you have it, you ride it. And the odds are they're going to need Romo at some point in this season, whether they start him or not. When you think back, when Bill Belichick decided to stick with Tom Brady at quarterback, Drew Bledsoe had to come in the AFC Championship game against Pittsburgh to help win that ball game. And odds are they're going to need Tony Romo at some point. But to put him out there when this team, not just the way Prescott's playing, but the way this team is playing, I just know from experience, these are runs that don't come around very often. And I wouldn't self-inflict any punishment to keep that from happening.
The other part of this equation is so important, Troy, and you'll know better than I'll ever know, or anybody watching will ever know, about the importance of a decision like that inside the locker room. And really outside of Witten, you look at this entire Dallas offense, including the offensive line, very, very young. Romo missed virtually the entire year last year. So it's been 2014 since he last played regularly. So a lot of these young guys, they're getting pretty familiar with Prescott now, and maybe are not necessarily, it's not that they want anything bad to happen to Romo, but this might be the guy and the time now.
Well, I think there's some real excitement for those that are Cowboys fans, and there certainly is in the Dallas community. When you look at young players like Prescott and like Ezekiel Elliott, and there's some others as well, but when you see those two guys in particular and you think, wow, they can be with this club for a long time and you can build something around them, people are excited about this club, and they should be.
32-yard field goal trying to make it a 30-16 game, and Bailey, when healthy, is virtually automatic. You brought up the name Drew Bledsoe remembers 2001. It's a replacement business. Sometimes that hits you right between the eyes. That's what happened to me with Brady, and again now with Tony Romo. I don't know if it's time for Tony, but it's something that every quarterback has to confront.
Well, he's right, and I know there has been conversation, and people have said you don't lose your job to injury. I'm not a believer in that. I never have been. Even as a player, I didn't like that. I think you play the guys who give you the best chance to win, and if you're winning, like I said, you kind of stick with the hot hand. But I believe that they'll need Tony at some point. And as I said earlier in this ball game, usually what happens when you have decisions like this, they tend to kind of resolve themselves. I think Jason Garrett has handled the situation exceptionally well. I know the owner, Jerry Jones, came out and made a comment and said when Tony's healthy, he's going to start. Backed off of it a little bit a couple days later. Jason Garrett has not commented on that, nor should he, because until Romo is healthy and ready to play, there's no reason for anyone within that organization to have that discussion. That's what we're paid for, you know, to talk about it. That's what the media is paid for, and that will continue, and it's been talked about for about 5 weeks.
Ty Montgomery's had a terrific game here today and trying to make it even better. A nice return all the way across the 40-yard line. They might have something in this Ty Montgomery. Even here in a disappointing offensive night for the Packers, he's had an outstanding game. That'll start your Sunday NFL kickoff and America's #1 pregame show. Troy, you and I will get a look at the unbeaten Minnesota Vikings going to Philadelphia. Eagles won their first 4. Now they've lost their last 2.
Well, that defense is for real. And you talk about a team overcoming injuries. They lose their starting quarterback and their starting tailback, arguably the best runner in football, and yet they continue to win games.
Catch made by Cobb.
How about the job Rick Spillman, the general manager? You know, they gave up a lot to Sam Bradford, and a lot of people had question marks about him, you know, and how his career has gone.
Yep.
Norv Turner has done an outstanding job with him, and he's playing good football.
And you know all about that defense. You know, you and I were talking last night about former Dallas assistant. As the ball is picked up, it's a fumble by Rodgers, and then picked up by Jason Spriggs, who's filling in for Balaga. Looked like Irving again stripped the ball. Irving is playing a big part in this Dallas defense again today.
Got a left hand just on it, you're right, and they're banging Roger around pretty good, but just still holding the ball.
And the ball is loose again. And I think the Cowboys have it again. They do. That is a 4th turnover for the Green Bay Packers.
It's been a long, long time since you've seen the Packers play this poorly at home. The ball's been on the ground a lot and just no execution on the offensive side of the ball. And it looked like his left knee might have been down. That one may come back.
And I think that was David Irving again who stripped that football. That would be 3 strips for Irving in the second half alone.
Well, David Irving, who...
The ruling on the field is a fumble with recovery by Dallas. That play is under review.
Well, he didn't play last week. He had a concussion. He came back, and he's been a versatile guy for them, and he's had a heck of a day.
Booth review, as is always a story on a change of possession.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. First down, Dallas.
Football belongs to the Cowboys. It is turnover number 4. So we take a look at the NFC North standings. All of a sudden the Lions win 2 in a row, and they go to 3-3. Knocked off the Eagles last week. Green Bay about to go to 3-2, and we talked about Minnesota unbeaten. A bye week this weekend. And we'll have the Vikings at Philadelphia next weekend. What about the NFC East? Washington Redskins, Troy, have ripped off 4 consecutive wins, and Philly now 3-2. Cowboys about to go to 5-1.
Well, that was a big win for Washington, no doubt. to keep pace with the Cowboys looking like they're going to win here today, and to tighten up that NFC East race.
Well, the Giants got a win today. That was a big win against Baltimore to go to 3-3. 2-minute warning. Cowboys about to celebrate another win and a big one in Green Bay.
Today's game is sponsored by Fitbit. Find your fit.
Take a look at the quarterback play today. The rookie Prescott, along with his running mate, fellow rookie Ezekiel Elliott, 150 rushing yards for Elliott. Boy, it's a quiet 150 today, if there is such a thing as a quiet 150. Elliott will get a few more carries as we're down to 2 minutes. Well, time permitting, we'll have some bonus coverage coming your way. Just under 2 to go and a wild one. Seattle scores a touchdown and now kicks a field goal to take a 2-point lead over Atlanta.
You talk about Ezekiel Elliott and his day-to-day running the football. This offensive line, they lost their starting left guard, Lel Collins, and they bring in Ronald Leary, who had been the starter prior to them signing Collins, and I'm not so sure they haven't gotten better in that offensive line. But this big group, 3 Pro Bowlers, they just beat you up. And you can start out initially doing some good things, but like all good running games, as you get going and you move into the second half and into the fourth quarter, they just wear you down. And this is a tough physical group, and once again it's almost expected the way the Cowboys have run the ball here today. And I thought coming in, Tom, that the Packers might have some trouble holding up, just because I've seen this group so many times and what they've been able to do. But I didn't expect this, because I did think the Packers were a decent club stopping the run. Their numbers showed they were #1. But I thought that their numbers might have been inflated a little bit, but not to the extent that the Cowboys have exploited in this game. And there's the offensive line coach. He's coaching up all those rock stars up there.
Yeah.
And what a job he has. He played offensive line for the 49ers back in the 90s, and when he retired, he decided to go into business and decided that wasn't for him, and ultimately hooked on with Bill Callahan, who had been his coach in college. And Callahan brought him to Dallas when he was calling plays the 1 year, and he's been the offensive line coach ever since. And he's got a lot of great talent to work with, but he's done a nice job.
Producer of today's game, Richie Zions. Our director, Rich Russo. The associate directors, Jake Jolivet and Rich Gross. Thank our entire crew, Brandon Terralavoro and Ian Martin, our broadcast associates. And thanks to Scott Snyder, Tom Barbary, and our entire crew up here in the booth and in Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. And Mike Steve Pack, the mayor of Green Bay, and all his great hosting over the weekend. So Mike McCarthy's team loses for the second time, 30-16 the final. And let the debate begin. The next time the Cowboys take the field, is it Prescott? Is it Romo at quarterback? The Cowboys are 5-1. All right, bonus coverage coming up. Atlanta at Seattle. Chris Myers, Rondé Barber, Jennifer Hale and company standing by for the finish of the Falcons and the Seahawks.